Hey David, what's happening? Good to see you. Nick, what's going on? I'm so blessed to be here. I'm healthy enough to be here. I love drawing, so I'm excited. And we're going to do something a little different. Today I thought it would be fun for you guys just to see a block-in process. We'll see how far I get. I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'll do my best. And David, I'm good. You're studying NFT. Are you kidding me? Tell me more. I jumped in. I've got NFTs at Rarible, OpenSea, and another place called AB2 Gallery. AB2 Gallery. I made some algo. So it's been fun. It's been educational. I would definitely recommend it if you want to jump in. It's easy to mint an NFT nowadays. And I think Rarible has it so that it's called lazy minting. So you don't pay any fee when you mint. The client pays it when they buy your NFT. They pay the minting fee. It costs a little bit of Ethereum if you're on Rarible. NFT. Nick is asking what's an NFT. It's a non-fungible token, which makes your JPEGs, basically your throwaway art, into a one-of-a-kind, non-reproducible, kind of like a rare baseball card or something like that, or a signed autograph. And that's revolutionary for artists. It's not just artists, musicians. People make video NFTs, and what else? Probably a ton of stuff more. Music, art, videos. Yeah, I use Rarible for my NFTs. So a little bit about my materials. I'm using what am I using here? Just forgot. It's a Canson 90-pound off-white paper. It's got just a little bit of texture, not too much. I'm filming this with my iPhone, and yeah, I have blue pencil. This is going to be blue portrait. I've got a new pastel stick, some erasers that are plastic Mars rubber eraser cut to precise angles and edges, and then I have some smaller ones that are cut like in wedge shapes if I need to get to some hard to reach areas. I've got a block, triangle. I've got my Tombow, this little guy. And that's kind of it. So maybe we'll get started. I don't use Tezos. Okay, awesome. You can hear me good? I hope I can be heard well. Thank you guys. If you can't hear me, just tell me to speak up. But no, I don't use Tezos. Okay. So let's see here. For the block-in, I've got these. It's really important to look for the height, the highest part, the widest part, and then the narrowest part, like the neck, in the back of the neck where it cuts in. So you're looking for angle breaks, you're looking for cuts, you're looking for points that you can see really well, really easily. And that helps. Also the straight line, kind of a straight line block in. kind of use my wrist here. Nick, I can hear myself in your phone. Let me see here. So the head in profile fits in a square basically, without the hairstyle, without the nose. And I'm looking for average angles, looking for the big impression. So, measuring really helps. The guy's drawing who comes out better is the one who measured more. Just measured a little bit more. So, as much as I dislike measuring as much as the next guy, it's important to measure. Because just like everybody else, I get excited and I just want to jump in and draw, right? I mean, that's what I'm living here for. That's what I'm living for. And so you can get too excited and just jump in and start drawing, not measuring, and go astray pretty well. Hey Maria, how you doing? Nice to see you. So I'm just gonna go slow. I'm gonna kind of really figure things out here. So the eyes are basically in the center. So I'll just line things up, spacing and placing. Looks like the top of the ear is just a little bit below that eye line. So everything here, I'm not really drawing yet, I'm just constructing. I'm just measuring, I'm putting in the scaffolding, so to speak. And I'm not really going for a likeness. I'm trying to get into a meditative state, a flow state, that appreciates art and loves life and just wants to record that and in an honest way. So I don't know if that makes sense, but so let's see. Mask of the face. Let's try for that in a very blocky, low-res way. Straight lines. We can finesse it later. Take an angle, right? Just hands on a clock. Find the angle on the reference, just move it over and reproduce that. Just using long lines and seeing kind of where these lines connect with other things. Like that neck connects to the eye. If I draw a line here, kind of goes right up to the eye. And so if things are connected, they look more believable, they look more alive. And if they look more believable, more alive, people are going to like your drawing better. Okay, so from the hairline to the eyebrow is a third, eyebrow to the nose is a third, and then to the chin is a third. So that looks like about a third right there. So I don't know if you can see this well, but I'm drawing quite, lightly. Let me know if you can see it. Corner of that eyebrow is going to be right where the plane of the forehead is, kind of separating out the front plane from the side plane. And so, when I was drawing as a kid, I would just copy things. And couldn't build anything. I couldn't teach anything, of course, right? I didn't know how to get there. So every time I was drawing, it was a discovery, which can be, the reason why we do drawing and painting and art anyway, is for the discovery. But if you want to have predictable results, then if every time you go to make a drawing, you have to say, how do I get the head on the paper? How do I get the proportions? How do I get a good result? Then that's a little too experimental, especially if you're working as a professional, you have a deadline, you have clients. You need something, you don't want it to be an experiment every time you go to draw something. You don't want to have to invent the wheel, so to speak. So measuring helps counteract that. Studies help counteract that. Just finding the placement of the ear, which is a little bit below the bottom of the nose, somewhere there. See, so I'm just kind of spacing and placing the elements right now. I'm not going for the kill. If I was in class and I had maybe a 10-minute drawing or a 5-minute drawing, then I would kind of just wing it. I would go for the jugular and make some bold moves and stuff. So it depends on the time, it depends on the motivation, and what you're trying to get out of the drawing, time constraints, and that kind of stuff. So we got this ear here, it's at an angle about 11 degrees, and how wide it is. It's a little bit wider at the top and narrower at the bottom. And then you can fit about one ear width to the back of the head, let's say without the hairstyle. So somewhere there would be the back of the head, and then this hairstyle fills it up, rounds it out. And then when I was a kid, we would just, I'd go to my friend's house and we would listen to, music, Led Zeppelin, Queen, Rush, and just have a great time. It was just the funnest thing to draw Frazetta and whatever else fantasy art we liked, and we'd listen to music and stuff. Now I can't listen to music as much. It used to be, there was a point where it became like a distraction. I think it's when I started working and I had all these decisions to make. I had to think and plan, and so I couldn't be listening to music and enjoy it, So I don't know if you guys have experienced that shift. Okay, let's see. Don't get distracted. And I was talking on another live stream about, fear, and about how to kind of get through that. And part of it, one of the things that I came up with, like a strategy, was to be kind of a cheerleader for myself and tell myself good things. Encourage myself. Like, even something that may not resemble reality. But do cheerleaders resemble reality? No, they just cheer on the team. They do crazy flips and lots of dynamic stuff. They're just there to like create an environment of, you know, excitement that you can win, you know. And so that's kind of what I do. Just encourage myself. Get excited about the process of drawing or what can come out of it. And that helps. Let me know what you guys do. If you guys do that, here's a nice little connection between this arc, this angle, and if I kind of curve it down, I can come to the connection between the nose and the upper lip and arrive hopefully in the right place for that. And so that bottom of the nose okay. I look for triangles a lot because there's a lot of cool triangles here. And triangles are relatively easy to draw. Just 3 sides, 3 lines. Easier than a square because that has 4, right? Okay, I want to make sure I kind of get this here. The front of the zygomatic arch, the front of the cheek there. And then I can make that leap to the nose, the wing of the nose. Right, if I divide that distance from the corner of the eye to the wing of the nose, if I divide it into several jumps, 1 or 2 or 3, it's easier to measure. And so it seems like that's going to be about there. The alar facial groove, they call it. You know, when I was pretty young, I was into biology, and so I got my hands on anatomy books. Hey Zoran, what's happening? You enter the zone of your mind. Yeah, we're trying to enter the zone. Very good. And so, I remember I bought a Gray's Anatomy, and that was this huge, thick, academic book. And, I mean, it was filled with, professionals used it for, doctors used it. And, it was like way too much for an artist, but I used to really like that. I used to study the anatomy. I used to do drawings of the bones. And just kind of, I don't know, I just did it. Now I wouldn't enjoy that as much, but I wanted to do that. It was interesting to me. And so you learn a bunch of, funky names for stuff. And all these Greek and Latin terms. Now I've got my phone almost right in front of my face, and it's obscuring part of the drawing. And it's tricky. It's tricky. It's amazing how many straight lines there really are. I kind of see like a straight line right there before the upper lip gets going, the top of the upper lip, then another straight line right there. And then we go to the upper lip itself, and then we've got another plane. So there's just a bunch of planes here. And let's see, so there's this. Straight line down from here to find the terminus of the lips here, that mascular node. It's at an angle. So what was I saying? I was saying that, yeah, I studied a bunch of anatomy. And I suppose that gave me a little bit of a little bit of an advantage just for myself, whereas if I hadn't, it is really hard to study that stuff. If you're not interested in it and you're an artist, it's kind of like too many long names, too many Latin and Greek things. Why do we have to study this? You know what I mean? So I kind of had a little bit of a head start on that stuff. So I suppose that's one good thing I did with my youth, was I found something I was excited about. Yeah, it gave me, Nick says it gave you a great foundation for drawing people. Yeah, it did. And I'm grateful for that. But I was kind of doing it because I wanted to be a biologist. I wasn't doing it because I thought I could be an artist. And so if any of you out there have this kind of affinity for anatomy and, studying that kind of stuff, it's probably, a lot of artists have that kind of crossover for science, anatomy, biology, and physiology. Because artists, Leonardo da Vinci, he was a total Renaissance man. He was kind of one of the first guys to do kind of these cadaver studies and autopsy type of things, right? That must have been shocking for that time to go into it like that, you know, and to study it. Look at the womb, you know, look at a fetus, look at the musculature and the skeletal system, and then put it into his art. That's a pretty rambunctious mind, you know. I don't know if I would do. I mean, I couldn't take a class like that, like a what do you want to call it? A class in biology where they studied the cadaver. No way. Probably there was a time when I could have, but after a certain point of living in my life, I couldn't handle it. Like, we did it with frogs in high school, you know, and that was fine. But anything more than that, I think not. Let's see, check the chat here. David says, I can't draw with music, with lyrics, right? But I like to listen to instrumental. Yeah. Christian music, meditative music, absolutely. I mean, even, you know, Zoran says Zeppelin, Queen, Deep Purple. Yeah, totally Zoran. He also says, music is part of my workspace setting, and I'll go from instruments, blues, okay, jazz, classical. And when I focus on art, I tune out outside world, including music, and only a fire alarm can bring me back. Ooh, deep. Yeah. That's wonderful. Wonderful. I think if you can get to that place where time and space just recede, you know, and suddenly it's dark out, right? And you haven't noticed. That's like the best. I know all you artists out there know what I'm talking about for that. And there's something spiritual about that, because you get lost, you sort of forget yourself, and you fade away, and something else can take over, you know? It's like writing music. If you've read, you know, your favorite musician, how they write music, and they talk about the muse a lot. They talk about the songs were already written. They talk about, you know, that kind of process where, you know, if they try to write a song, you know, like Paul McCartney talks about how songs were already written and he just kind of transcribed them. You know, they were ideas that floated through, and it just came to him. Like Let It Be, I think, was there when he was waking up one morning, and he just, that's the thing, is to be able to catch it as it's coming through, because if you don't, right, it's just gone. That's my experience. I mean, I hear music, I can play, so to speak, music in my mind, and I can hear it very clearly. You know, whether it's someone else's song, right, like a song is going through your head. I think maybe almost everybody can hear things internally without hearing them in the material world, right? There's no speaker playing, there's no band playing, it's just you're hearing this thing, and that's a mystery. How can that happen? How can your nervous system reproduce that? And so the more clear that you can hear that stuff, and the longer, it's like, yeah. So I can do that all day. I can add instruments, I can play things back and forth in my mind and try out different things. It's just that, I know we're getting off on music here, but there's a parallel that I could not write it down, and so I couldn't capture it. And that is a problem, right? I'm not literate, I'm not fluent in music. It's a language, just like art is a visual language. And so I didn't know how to capture it, and so the ideas would just go away. And then we got the iPhones and stuff like that, which is actually pretty cool, because I would just sing things into it. And capture it that way, just because my ear is very good. But my theory, my ability to transcribe and write music is, very, very iffy. And so that's a problem, because I don't have, the problem for the artist, if they don't have a photographic memory, and for the musician, if they don't have a photographic ear, for that matter, it's you're at the whim of the moment, and then it's gone, Let me see here. So I just know I love music and I love drawing so much. It's just like so important for me to hear music and to connect to it, and loud and be, maybe it's just one of the ways that I can be connected and touched, and that's probably why, because we all need to connect. And I remember I took an acting class, and it was terrible. It was in college, and I couldn't connect. Like, there's words on the page, and you're in a scene, and you have to feel stuff when you're acting. And I couldn't feel it, and I felt so awkward and just plastic. And I'm thinking, why? Why can't I connect here? And I don't know. Those two. So anyway, music is a way for me to connect, and I don't have to think. It's just there. And so, in some ways, I connect more to music than, anything else. A good story, a good movie, that can definitely get to me. So it's kind of other people's stuff can get me, but my stuff, it's a little bit harder for that, for me to be affected by my own work. So I don't know why. I wish it kind of wasn't that way. I think it's powerful to be able to take your artwork and or take your feelings and your experiences and put them right into your art. That's what it's all about. If you can do that, that's awesome. You guys in the chat, let me know if you can do that. Hey Kyle, great construction drawing so far. Thank you, my man Kyle. Maria Wagner, hi. Mobius says, or David Stocko says, like Mobius, or Chinjunyi. I don't know. Chinjunyi. Is that Chinese guy? Or is it Korean? Yeah, there's that flow state of like where you're automatic drawing. I did a video on that, and I'd seen this video that was on Proco, and this guy, I forget his name, he had worked with Mobius, and Mobius, he would watch Mobius, and Mobius taught him this automatic drawing thing. And so he did a demo, and so I did actually demo on my YouTube channel for that. If you go back, you can find it. And it's just automatic drawing. It's just kind of going with, it's like letting your mind go to that flow state and not expecting anything in particular to come out. Now you can kind of see this is this drawing is at an angle to the camera, so I'm drawing a straight line here, but you can see there's a tilt to it. So just know that the head may be a little bit narrow horizontally because of that angle. You know what I'm saying out there? I kind of want to move the drawing this way a little bit, get it centered up a little bit. And so that's a good way to warm up. I would recommend that that kind of way to do this automatic drawing thing. Go back and watch my video on that. And Michael O'Hara, what's happening, my friend? Welcome to the stream. We're talking about all kinds of fun stuff I'm sure you would relate to deeply. So just a note about the drawing. I've kind of got my block in most of the way there. You know, I'm thinking it's okay. Nothing's really bugging me too much. And so I can start to fill in my darks a wee bit. Fill in my darks a wee bit. But you know, step by step. I don't want to go and rush and start filling in the darks and see that things are wrong. But filling in the darks, by the same token, helps me see if things are wrong, right? And I'm giving myself a key here. I'm just going, you know, like a very 50% gray. And there's a lot of practical utility in doing that because I can fix things easier, and I can and that's that. Yeah, I want to fix things easier and quicker and with less pain. Everybody can relate to that, I'm sure. Now I'm squinting and comparing, and when if I open my eyes, there's stuff going on inside the eye, but if I squint, it all goes away. So I want to kind of get these shapes in here, like these boundaries, and then I can, you know, fill it in. The secret to like a drawing that kind of emerges off the page is squinting and comparing as if it's emerging out of the fog, right? Or if you're in the dark room, if you've ever old enough to have been in the dark room like I am, you watch this blank piece of film, put it in the emulsion, and it starts to develop right before your eyes. And so it's like coming out of the fog, and then you walk outside with your picture, you know, and that's like what I'm thinking about when I'm developing, you know, a drawing like this. I want to sneak up on it, you know. So whatever, you know. I mean, there's definitely direct drawing, and that's cool too. It's very impactful, pen and ink. You know, you can think of Kim Jong-gi just drawing the crap out of a wall, right? Just stuff flying off of his pencil, and it's all, you know, just direct, being in the flow. And that's powerful. It's fun, you know. And it has a certain look to it, and it's awesome, right? Maria says, very nice, Chris. Wondering if you could have started with the bloated triangle. Could have, yes. That's one of my favorite things to start with. Although the Loomis thing, I totally have resisted Loomis for my whole life. Just didn't, you know, I did a video on that too, on ways to start a portrait, and I just didn't get it. You know, I guess maybe the presentation of how it was shown to me. But now I kind of think, you know, starting with a circle and then a circle inside for the side plane of the head is actually cool. It's efficient and cool, and you know, I think I'm going to start using that more, just to give myself some more firepower with drawing, you know. But yeah, I could have easily, for the profile, started with the bloating triangle, the bulging triangle, as Steve Houston put it, who I learned that from. Amazing teacher, very eloquent, a way with words, and I think he's a bit of a writer too. So he's got verbal skills, and they come through in the ways that he communicates his ideas. I love these little overlapping strands of hair or groups of hair in this bun, you know. They kind of, they're really fun. I love the shape too. It's cool stuff. And okay, so back to squinting and comparing and kind of filling in. To kind of jump around the drawing a little bit, you know, trying to bring things up to a common level and then stop and assess things. It's important to think about where the lighting is too. I mean, in this instance, you know, sometimes you're the light and the light's coming right from you in a very frontal way, and it can wash things out. It's not that interesting but just knowing where the light is, and in this instance, it's coming from the front. And so everything facing away and to the left and to the right is going to get a shadow. And everything facing the camera, or facing the light and the camera, is going to get this, the highlight. And so that's important to know where the light is, you know, at the stage where you're thinking, okay, I'm going to start, you know, shading the drawing. Thinking about that. Is the triangle derived from Loomis? I think the triangle, Maria asks, is the triangle derived from Loomis? Okay, I learned it from Steve Houston, and he was a teacher there at Arts Center in Pasadena, and his teacher was Bern Hogarth. And Bern Hogarth is one of the greatest, you know, teachers of recent art history, and he's passed away, but he's famous in terms of his figures and his portraits, and he has a book called Dynamic Figure Drawing, and so he knew his stuff, you know. So I'm thinking maybe, you know, Steve learned it from there, or it could have been a Riley thing, you know. And so I'm not really sure, but it sure is really cool. You know, when I learned that, I fell in love with that. I thought, you know, you're mystified, right? How does somebody come up with this and analyze it? You know, something so simple, and that was the idea. It's simple but characteristic. That idea, right? The efficiency of it. Simple but characteristic. So, you know, a circle is simple, but it's not really characteristic, but it's the quickest, easiest thing to do, but it's not satisfying. And so the characteristic thing is to add a little bit more to it, and that's, you know, a triangle sort of does that for you. And then where you put the ear on that whole thing, moving the ear around, it's just amazing to me. Get so much utility out of that. Good question, Maria. Thanks for asking. Okay, so I'm kind of just still taking my time here. This jaw here has a little bit of a gesture here, like a C curve going this way and then down towards the chin. So I'm going to pick that up. And there's a triangle shape that's nice under the chin, top of the neck. It's formed in part by the digastric muscle that comes right there on this line I'm drawing and then moves up towards the ear. It's like a small shoelace kind of thing that moves towards the chin and holds in the, I think it's the hyoid muscle. I know it's a bone, but there's a muscle under the throat, you know, top of the throat, under the chin. I'm forgetting the name of that right now. So I try to keep my pencil sharp. Maybe I'll switch over. I have a few of them at the ready in case it breaks. That's always a smart thing to do. And then that shaving off of the wood helps me if I need, you know, a nice thick stroke. I can get that. Especially if I'm drawing big with charcoal. I love that. So I like the variety of line I can get to from that. Like I can drag it this way and get a razor thin line, and then flick of the wrist and get a thick, like that. Let's fill in this here and see. So, you know, I don't use a grid because I want to draw like freehand, you know, and I think a grid is a good idea if you're drawing really big, or, you know, like on the side of a building, or, you know, something huge like a big old canvas, and that's fine, you know. But my point is I'm using a grid in my mind. I'm using verticals and plumb lines and stuff. I'm just doing it in my mind, you know, angles, verticals, and I'm finding, you know, where's the end of this mouth? Well, it's just inside, or pretty much right where the end of the nose is, where it meets the cheek. And so I just kind of checked it like that. But I can check it here, the corner of the mouth, corner of the eye, corner of the mouth, and I can check an angle, you know, and then go over to my reference and check that angle and see if it's, you know, bears any resemblance to reality. You know, so step one is kind of the shape block in, you know, get your little shapes going, and map them out. It's kind of a map. And then kind of fill things in. And I would say don't go for a copy. Don't try to copy something. And that's okay if you're doing studies. You're copying something and you're getting something out of it. A big bang for being able to reproduce that on paper. But also in your studies, try to just isolate, let's say, the planes or the rhythms or one of the features like the nose or the eyes, and study that, or study composition. And that's fine for copying, but then sometimes you just gotta go with the the overall impression of something, and go for the feeling of it, like capturing the soul of somebody. And it's not necessarily, getting an exact thing. And that kind of makes me tighten down too. Like if I go for a total tight copy of something, it can make me kind of nervous and tight, I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes it's nice to put a little stylization in, like I'm just beefing up the contour of the line here. It's a nice, it kind of graphitizes things. So on the line containing everything can be a thick, almost like a comic book line, a very graphic line. And then everything inside can be kind of organic and more, how shall we say, realistically kind of translated. And that's fun. So you have a little variety there of line and punch. That tight line can give it some punch on the page. And say, it's like giving parentheses around something, say, it's like, look here, parenthesizing around a word. That's kind of what I'm doing if I tighten that line down. Trying to resist the temptation to open up my eyes here, because there's this nice, soft, blurry kind of edge where the eye meets the side point of the nose. So I'm going to try and keep it like that. Let's see here. So my dad was an artist, just as a hobby. And I remember looking at his drawings and thinking, man, this guy's like Leonardo da Vinci. That's what I felt like. I thought like his lines and some of the stuff looked so real. And he had that touch. And, he did that as a kid and into adulthood, but then when he had children, he just stopped. And so I think, the demands of life, pressures, fears, and I just gave it up, and to me that was always like, what? Why? And then my grandfather on my mom's side, he was like a great singer, like an opera singer. And he was, he just went from job to job, and he worked for PG&E, and I don't know, he couldn't really keep it together. And he was, kind of an alcoholic, and, he didn't do anything. He was a painter too. He had these paintings, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like really good paintings. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to do something with my art. Because I couldn't believe, these people who were, in my mind, were great, didn't follow through, I don't know. So I just couldn't understand that. But it's hard. Art is not easy. It's not appreciated like it should be, and that's just the way it is. So I'm just squinting down here and I'm seeing soft edges, something dark, indistinct edges, so I'm just gonna blow past my containing line there and just put a tone here. And then getting up, standing up, and moving away and seeing what the hell's going on is important too. Hey, Oricleone. I don't know how to say that name. It's very unique. Says, hi, I'm new here, but did you use the Riley method to start out this portrait? I confess I did not. I didn't use my usual triangle, and I just, because I have to get it in the camera, I just gave myself like a square, the height and the width, widest and tallest dimensions, just to make sure I got it in the camera, and it was kind of a square. And so I started there, and I just went with kind of a measuring approach, where I got the head, stuck the neck on, found about where the ear would be, through lining up the eyebrow, eyes, nose, just like I would normally do, and get things kind of spaced and placed, and went about it like that, just measuring. I normally kind of don't do that as much. I kind of like to start with a big circle and then stick a triangle on for the jaw, and put the ear on, and kind of, I like those big movements, because normally I draw really big with charcoal, and so I've learned those big movements, kind of that muscle memory, and so I'm comfortable with that. And the tight, small stuff, I was never really a fan or that good at tight, small stuff. And you have to draw tight and small when you're doing storyboards and even animation, because you're bounded by the format. And so I had to draw small with storyboards and animation. And so I kind of learned to draw small. But I like big. I like drawing big. And so I'm just sort of thinking about the values right now. Let me fill in this dark nose thing. And I'm turning my pencil as I draw. I turn just to keep the edge sharp as low as I can. There's a plane right here. David, how do you measure the distance from the eyebrow to the ear? I always have problems. Yeah. Let me see if I can come up a little bit. Distance. Wait, what was that? Sorry. How do you measure the distance from the eyebrow to the ear? Well, I can get the angle, so that'll give me a relationship of how, if they're pretty much lining up horizontally or if one's above or below the other, right? So I'll cite an angle from the reference and then reproduce that. I know that ear on a profile is going to sit somewhere in the middle and maybe drift back a little bit, right? Because you can get one ear width from there to the back of the head. So that would be, the back of the skull right there. So if it's too far this way and I get more than one ear, I know that the ear is out of position and crowding out the front. And if I can't get an ear width, then perhaps it's too to the left, right? And crowding out the back. And so, does that make sense? I'll also break it up between the eyebrow, let's say, this distance, not all the way to the ear, but from the hairline to the ear. It's about, right here, it's about half from the tip of the tapered part of this eyebrow to the hairline, and then to, the ear, roughly. So that's how I do it. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm kind of... Yeah, anytime you can break up something and make it a shorter distance, then do that. That helps a lot, I've found. His hair is totally like water. It's just like a wave, bunch of waves. So cool. So I'm looking for the flow, right? The rhythm, the action, the gesture of the hair, and then the groups of hair and how they overlap. It's kind of a nice little circle right there. I don't want to touch this camera too much because it might fall apart. It's kind of put together with these articulated pieces. I think it's called it's not a magic arm. It came with a lighting rig that I got, and it's like a clamp, and then it's two of those, so they have like an elbow joint, but they hook together, so it's two of these things with elbow joints, and then if they're not screwed on tight, the phone could just fall, flop, because it has a ball joint. Or any one of those arms, the articulated arms, if they're, I don't know, you have to screw things down, like really struggle with that stuff. And so I don't want to touch anything. Okay, I'm going to commit to this mouth in its position finally. Sometimes you just got to commit, and that's it, for better or for worse. Just like in life. I don't like the shape of that nostril bugging me. Michael O'Hara says, O'Reilly. O'Reilly? Do you mean Riley? The artist, the teacher? The Riley rhythms? Is that what you're referring to, Michael? Or something else? Okay. kind of giving that a tone because it's facing to the left, and in this world, in this setup, it is not facing the light, so it's not going to get the light, or it's going to get less of the light. Same thing here, this forehead is facing that direction, so it's facing away from the light. So I can give it a tone. You know, the local value of the skin is not the white of the paper, I'm deciding, you know, so it's gonna be a little bit darker, so I could come through and darken the whole thing. And there's only gonna be some spots that are light. But I like this rhythm from the temporal through down to the lower lid of the eye, down to the cheek, you know, and maybe I can make a rhythm out of that, and thus fulfill my purpose for being on the earth once again. You know, it's okay if I break the contour like this, because that line is so strong that you can break the contour with value and it's still gonna, to the viewer, read as the end of the forehead. So sometimes you can, you know, like in the reference, when I look here at the glabella and where the eyebrow meets it, that is a completely lost edge, so I can lose that edge in my drawing, and it connects it to the background, and it gives me some edge variety that I really enjoy. Maria says she looks mesmerized or ghostly. What color are you using? I'm using I guess it's just a flat blue coal erase pencil. Right, it's kind of a waxy pencil, it's not a charcoal. And we use these in animation, so we did the blues and we called them. So that was like the rough drawings, and it was non-photo blue. Well, this one's not non-photo, but the Xerox copier didn't pick up the blue. So you could do these rough underdrawings in animation and then go over it with a clean line, like with ink, and then the blue wouldn't show up, so that's why we used the non-photo blue. And so that's what these pencils are from. it's not really a very special pencil. So if I wanted to, you know, I could just come through here and just let me see here. I could just come in here and darken this up. And I haven't even drawn my ear yet. Gotta draw my ear. I corrected so many ears in my career. When I was working in China, we were working on a graphic novel. Hey, Amy says, beautiful, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Amoy Yates, thanks for being here. Maria, 10K at above O'Reilly points. Also, what would you say is the best way to get a smooth tone on paper? Oreo Cleone says. Oreo Cleone. Well, you can do this, right? You can create gradations with cross hatching, and you can smudge, right? So if I came in with a a piece of paper towel, I could sort of get it down into the paper more, right? And it creates a nice gradation there like that. Or I can use this, the new pastel thing. So if I, you know, put some more, let me just do this ear here, and let me put, because that's a great question. I'll try to get to it. Haha, this is an old username. You can refer to me as Ming. All right, Ming. I don't know if I can remember that, but for now, you are Ming. Okay, let me see here. So I've got this plane of the jaw, kind of turning away from the light. And I like to work with long, straight lines because it makes your drawing like a sculpture to me. And that's what I want. Because the structure is one of the first things that'll just go. Because remember, the paper's flat. And so you're conceiving this structure, you're working hard for it to make it, you know, jump off the page, and yet it's delicate, and you really gotta know your planes and almost be overly sculptural at first, and then you can back off on it, you can play it down. if that makes any sense. So build the house first, and then do your beautiful smooth things and gradations and transitions, like in the cheek area and stuff. There's, that works well against structural looking stuff. So everything in contrast, meaning contrast is everything in art. So if you have a bunch of straight lines and you put in a curved one, that curved one's really going to stand out, and it's really going to look curvy because of its relationship to all the straights around it. Okay, simple enough. If you have a bunch of hard edges and you put in a soft one, it's going to look extra soft because of those hard edges around it. And so putting in a bunch of structure is going to be good because it's going to make your transitory passages, your flowy passages look a lot more so, because of this idea of contrast, visual contrast. It's just like if you do a beautiful chorus in a song and then you blast off into the solo. The solo's awesome, you're soaring. Right? So it's taking you from feet on the ground to soaring levels emotionally. And so we love that contrast. So if you anchor down the drawing, let's say with structure and then some tone, the areas that aren't so anchored down will have the effect, hopefully, of being, light, smooth, and so on. And a lot of beginners, we don't know that, and so we just use hard lines everywhere with the same thickness or the same furriness and indistinctness because we didn't sharpen our pencil. You must keep that pencil sharp. It's your sword. You wouldn't, if the pen is mightier than the sword, if you're a writer, you're going to have a nice, I don't know if this analogy works, but you're going to want to have something to write with that works, and you need some paper. You're probably not going to skimp on that if you're a writer. So we shouldn't skimp on our drawing pencils, right? We should have them sharp. That's the first thing. When I was teaching in the university, oh my God, I would say, sharpen your pencil. Otherwise, you're going to struggle. And then in class, looking at people's drawings, and then I would say, show me your pencil. Because if the drawing didn't look so hot, I'd say, just show me your pencil. And then they would show me a stub, just whittled down, barely any lead. And I'd say, that's part of the reason why you're struggling, is because you didn't sharpen your pencil. It's that simple. And so, I'm lazy, so I want to avoid all that waste of time and struggle. So I'm going to sharpen my pencil. For God's sakes. So that's a beginner thing, is to get too excited, jump in, and then not sharpen your pencil because you don't think it's important. And it really is. It's just a basic thing you can do, like tying your shoes before a 50-yard dash. If you're an athlete, a runner, you're going to tie your shoes. You're not going to skimp on your equipment. It's not the fun, exciting stuff, but it sure contributes to a great picture. See, so I can come through here and just smudge this up with this spongy thing. So I was trying to get my ear in place so I could put some more tone in here and then smudge it up. Because there's a really dark tone back here that I think will, because the drawing's at an angle, the ear looks a little small. I think I'm just going to go ahead and make it bigger. Fix it. A little better. Okay. So far, all my equipment is holding up here. My batteries aren't running out of anything. So Ming, where are you from? Yes, Ming, I use my knife to sharpen. And then I used a combination. So I used the sharpener and I cut off the wood with my X-Acto blade. But these coal erased pencils, they're a little bit thinner than charcoal, so if you try to use sandpaper, they break. So that's when I used the sharpener. Ciao. All right, so I wanted to show that if you have a little bit rough texture here, you know, you can pass this over it and smooth it out, right? Like that. And that works really nice. So some of that stuff, you can blend it in more or less, right? Maria, please answer my question. What do you call the method that's partially Riley but have circles? Oh, partially Riley but have circles. No, I don't understand the question. Yeah. I guess I missed the question. What do you call the Riley method with circles? What do you mean? The Riley method is the rhythms, right? So Frank Riley developed the rhythms. There's a bunch of circles and concentric ovals and circles and things. So that is the Riley method. So I hope that answers your question. So Ming says she's originally from Shanghai. Well, most of my life in LA. Okay. I lived in Shanghai, your hometown. So, ni hao ma. I can't draw and speak Chinese. I'm drawing a blank. 我喜欢画画，我是艺术家，你呢？ Okay, let me know if I said anything that you can understand. Because I learned to speak some Chinese when I was there. I had to. You said the smoothing tool was a new pastel smoothing tool. That's right. Totally correct. Wow. Yeah, Shanghai was a damn big city, that's all I gotta say. And it took an hour to get anywhere. Great subway, amazing subway, I can't believe it, right? Clean, well lit, comfortable, went everywhere throughout that city. And then it was really hot in the summer, like scorching hot, and then cold in the winter. I was working as a concept artist there, and in the evenings, you know, when it wasn't super cold in the winter, I would go dancing, right? Because everybody's dancing in the park. They're doing 1,000 things in the park. And one of the things was dancing. And they would have like a big car battery hooked up to speakers and a CD player. And they would blast the music. And then they would have a teacher. And they would teach, right? Everybody would line up and do these cha-cha, samba, rumba, all these Latin type dance things. And you'd learn the moves, you'd learn the forms, and then you'd dance with a partner. And so, since I really love music, I love dancing, I would go there like almost every night and learn dancing. It was so great. It was a great way to burn off the stress too. And so I learned how to do couples dance. How's that for a story? Also, I would draw, and I'd bring my sketchbook around and I'd set up somewhere, and you would get an audience out of nowhere surrounding you, surrounding me, and watching, especially the older men. They just love drawing. And so I would kind of practice my Chinese and talk to people, draw, and get used to performing, you know. Get used to drawing in public, getting used to doing bad drawings and not caring. You know, I'd say if you can get used to doing bad drawings as part of your learning, you're learning, that's a good learning outcome, is being okay with bad drawings, like a lot of bad drawings. And then that way you kind of clear out, you know, you make room for yourself to move forward. Because if you're paralyzed by bad drawings, you're going to be paralyzed, you know, because your ego's on the line and all the feelings are there of failure that are so prevalent in us, you know. So if you can find a way to go out in public or just practice in front of people somehow, like, it's good. Plus you meet people that way, you talk to people, and that's good. So I would say it's good for getting used to bad drawings and getting those bad drawings out of there, and then meeting people. You know, you can use it as a social thing, and I love that. So I would learn a word in Chinese, and then I would get it solidified in my mind by, you know, I would go out and I would use it all over the place. I'd find a way, a reason to use that thing I learned, and then it would be locked into my vocabulary. And some words you just can't get, like they just over and over, I need to hear that word and I can't get it. But some words just stick out like crazy, and you get them. They jump out among just a flurry of phonetics, you know. You'll get one. It'll be something like Chabadul, Chabadul. I would hear that, and I'd go, okay, what's this Chabadul thing? And then somebody would tell me what it means, and then I would use it. It's a cool word. But I can't read Chinese, so whatever you said there in Hanzi, I can't read it. That's a bummer, but I could only learn to speak. Reading, writing was just too much to chew, too much to bite off. Oh, you're also a concept artist. Oh, cool. I bet you're a really good one too. Working down there in LA. Where you working? Concept art is different now than when I was in it, because you're doing 3D. You're using Unity, paint overs, 3D block models, texturing, all that stuff. It's really cool. Okay, you're working on an indie virtual reality game. Cool. Dude, that's awesome. Or dude, I don't know if you're a dude or a dudette. But that's great. All right, how long have we been going here? How did you get the opportunity to do concept work in Shanghai? If you don't mind answering, of course. Okay. I was living in China, and I came back. Well, actually, when I was there, I was trying to find work. And so I was contacting these different companies, and I found a guy who could speak English. And so it was like an American outsourcing firm. So when I came back to America, then I reached out to the owner, and we had a meeting, and then so he offered me a job, and so in China. So when I went back, I moved from where I was, and I started moving. So I was living in Yichang, Hubei province, a long way away from Shanghai, different world. And yeah, that's how it happened. All right. So I've been going for a couple hours here. So I need a break. So maybe it's a good time to sign off. Unity is powerful. Especially in relationships. Yeah, I stream every Wednesday night and Tuesday afternoon. So come on by Tuesday afternoon around 2 p.m. I'm probably working at that point. If you guys want to join the Discord, there's a link in the description. It's private for people studying portrait art and studying with me. It's a great place to be, to grow, to be in community. We're moving from Facebook to Discord, and so jump onto there. If you want to study with me, you can go to drawjuice.com, and I've got portrait courses. And if you like the content, like, comment, subscribe, and give it a thumbs up, and definitely hit the notifications and all that stuff. Appreciate you guys' support. Really fun hanging out with y'all this evening, for sure. Let me know in the chat if you had a good time, and let me know what you'd like to see too in comments. What topics you want me to cover, stuff like that. I want to know what you guys are thinking. You're gonna prepare a drink next time, David? You mean like a hard drink? Definitely whatever drink you need to get you in the zone to come and socialize over here on the Draw Juice live stream. It's fun. It's great. Love to have you. I just can't stop drawing. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And hopefully you will come on back and we'll do it again. All right, you guys, I'm gonna leave you off with this. Love each other, be kind to each other, and be charitable to one another. Because in this day and age, we're gonna need it more than ever. Okay? So stay safe out there, and I will sign off. Okay? See you guys. Bye-bye.